So who would like to make a motion to start?
I'll make a motion to open meeting.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Fantastic. Okay. So meeting is started. So according to our agenda tonight, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, so in attendance tonight, we've got Roberta, Brian, Liz, and Joanne on Zoom. Aaron couldn't make it tonight. We've got up on the agenda, a vote to approve minutes. We're going to push that off to the next meeting since Aaron's not here. And he actually has the meeting notes for 6/21 that we need to approve. So, Brian, thanks for providing the 9/20 notes. At the next meeting, we'll approve the 6/21, the 9/20, and the 10 tonight's meeting notes. The main reason we're here, Joanne, thank you for joining us via Zoom. We want to review the OSRP survey with you. I filled it out already. I don't know if I was supposed to or not, but I clicked the link because I was on my phone rather than opening the actual survey. So you have one respondent so far. But I think in looking at it, we just had a couple of questions. I think for the most part, it looks fantastic. Roberta, you had brought up a question about open space and rec.
Yeah, because it's called the Open Space and Recreation. Do we have to get recreation involved before you put the survey out or anything?
That's up to you guys. Whoever you want to consult within your own town is up to you. Normally, I just work with a committee, but you certainly can if you feel like you. I mean, and it might be beneficial because if there are questions that they want to ask that might help improve their programs, then I could also include those in this survey.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe we should.
But we would want to. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say we would want to move quickly because we really want to be able to advertise it at the town meeting.
Yeah, right. I would say we'll skip it at this point. I mean,
well, I'll forward it to Kelly and let her know these are the questions.
Kelly, you will?
Yep, to Kelly Johnson.
Okay. Thank you.
That are going up, and that other than what you discussed tonight, that this is pretty solid. And if they have anything real quick, they can, off the top of their head that they think. Yeah. I will send it to you guys, and I'll send it to Joanne.
Okay.
And if it's something you absolutely don't want on there, then we won't do it. But
okay. You said Kelly Johnson.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. She's the director, and she is the admin for Park and Rec too.
Okay. It looks like you've asked most of those questions in here, but I just didn't know.
It's all very
any,
similar,
yeah.
No, I get that, and I think working together, like giving them a heads up ahead of time that this is starting, is better than going.
Yeah, why weren't we included?
Right.
Yeah. Well, are they included in the OSRP?
Well, recreation is, right?
Yeah.
Right, but
I know they have a different defined area that they work in, and you guys have a different defined area, but there's a lot of crossover.
Yep.
So you guys are guiding this process.
Right.
But I think it's beneficial to alert them and sort of, I'm not saying partner with them, but just giving them a heads up.
Yeah. Okay.
And certainly once we start writing this next year, we'll be reaching out to the different departments that are interrelated and getting their feedback on strategies and things like that too. So they're going to be engaged in the process, but it's up to you guys whether you want to do that now or later.
All right. So it sounds like Liz will forward to Kelly, and then we'll see if she has any response. But to your point, Joanne, quickly, obviously, is because town meeting's next week, so a week from Saturday. Okay. Anything else on your side, Roberta?
No, for
that. Okay. Brian, I know you had a couple of questions.
Yeah, I just had one. Just first a comment. I like the way the questions are phrased, and a lot of if any words in there to not imply that respondent should be answering in a certain direction. So I think that's really good. The one question I had was on question 18, which, to summarize it, it says, does you or someone you live with have any disability that keeps you from participating fully in work, school, housework, or other activities? So my question, I guess, is more, what are you trying to get at with that? So I have a physical disability. If I were answering that question, I would answer no, because it doesn't prevent me from doing any of those things. So I don't know if you're trying to get at a percentage of people with a physical disability, or if it's specifically that prevents them from doing those things.
So what's really difficult, and I can talk about this for hours, so I'm going to try and be really concise. When we ask demographic questions, we ask them for one of two reasons. In some instances, both might apply in some projects. In other instances, it might be only one of these. So the first reason we ask demographic questions is to ensure that the people that are responding to the survey are representative of the community. So for example, currently I'm working on a Duxbury survey about age-friendly issues. So how older folks in the community feel about transportation, housing, other things. If I found that all my survey responses were from people, in their 20s and 30s, then clearly I've missed the mark in terms of promoting the survey. And so my results aren't going to be valid when I'm then talking about what older folks in the community want to see. So we ask demographic questions to make sure that we can try and reach a wide variety of people. The second reason we ask demographic questions, and this doesn't really apply in this project, but I just want to mention it anyway for context of future work and stuff. The second reason we might ask demographic questions if we want to do comparisons. So for example, if I want to compare the answers of folks in their 20s to those answers of folks who are 65 plus, and see if there might be differences in perspectives or needs between those two age groups. So in this particular survey, I think the main reason that we're asking demographic questions is just to ensure that we reach a broad representation of the community. Now, the caveat with all of these questions is that sometimes they're loaded. So for example, the gender question, some people, when I ask that question, we now offer the option to self-identify. I'll get comments back about people saying all kinds of things in relation to it not being relevant, or what's this all about, or whatever. So everybody has an opinion on how these are asked, and some people might interpret them differently. So the question you mentioned, question 18, it can be asked in a million different ways, and so many people interpret it differently too. My mom, for example, technically has a disability, but she would never consider herself having a disability because she feels like she's adapted and can pretty much do anything that anybody else can. So the reason it's in there is because as an open space survey, I think it's important to try and capture people who do have different needs. Usually in the context of open space, we're talking about physical needs. So we're talking about, play equipment for children who might be in wheelchairs, or paths that are accessible for folks who, also might be in wheelchairs or need a cane, or whatever else it might be. In some communities, you might see interpretive signage that also has Braille on it, that sort of stuff. So I am totally open to suggestion. If there's a better way that you think, your community better than I do, so there may be a better way. Like if you guys, for example, in one of the communities I worked with, there was specific interest in playgrounds that were accessible to children who were in wheelchairs, for example. And so the question wasn't even in the demographics, it was just a question in the survey, something along the lines of, do you guys think we have enough accessible playground equipment for kids that might be in wheelchairs? So we can kind of do it either way. I don't know as intimately as you guys do about what the conversations in your community are around this sort of stuff, whether there is a need for accessible playgrounds or accessible trails. Generally speaking, you want all of the above in every community anyway.
Yeah, ADA. Do you think it would be more beneficial if we broke the question into two, like a two-part?
Well, I think you might address this if you just change one word. So what if you say that impacts your ability to participate in work, school, housework, and other activities? Mm-hmm. If I saw it, I'm just giving you an example how I would answer this if I saw it in a survey. I would answer yes to that question, but I would answer no to it the way it's phrased right now. So if you're trying to get but I certainly agree that it identifies having a physical disability. It's just the way the question is worded, I would differently. So I think if you're trying to capture truly the number
It's
of
your own
people who have
interpretation,
yeah,
right?
Right.
I think the other way I would look at it would be breaking it into two. So, because you had said you would answer, the way it's phrased now, you would answer it no. But if it was broken out like, do you or does someone who lives with you have any disability, handicap, or chronic disease, period, or question mark rather?
Yep.
And then, if yes, does that keep you from fully participating in work, school, housework, or other activities? Then you would say no.
Yes.
Because it doesn't,
Yes.
right?
That would, yep.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm good
so
with that, too. Yep.
way we're capturing if there is somebody that has disabilities, and also whether it's something that we would need to provide, ADA requirements for or not.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Joanne?
It does. We could definitely do it that way. Another suggestion, now that I'm thinking more about this and listening to you guys, we could also do you or someone who lives with you have any disability, handicap, or chronic disease? ? And then if they answer yes, what we can do is specifically ask related to open space and recreation. Does your disability, handicap, or chronic disease affect your ability to enjoy open space and recreation in our community? And if so, how? And that might give us better insight into the needs actually as well, too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. I think that's a good adjustment, edit.
Yeah.
I can't really see it. How does everybody else feel? I can't really see. You guys are very small on my screen, so I don't see nodding heads.
Yes, Roberta and Brian are in agreement. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll do that. That's a really good suggestion. I'm glad we brought that up. And now I'm going to change it on the other open space survey that we're doing too, in a different community.
Awesome.
I'm good. That was the only question I had. Everything looks great.
Okay. Yep, and like I said, I had filled it out already earlier. I thought it was well done. I think the only thing we need to do is just, I'd say, I don't know, should we give Kelly like 48 hours or something to come back?
Joanne, what's your turnaround?
Are you guys planning to first launch this at town meeting, or did you want to get it out sooner?
I was thinking, I think we talked about the Thursday before, which would be next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, so it takes me like 2 minutes to change a survey. I'm assuming they're not going to be extensive comments, just maybe like a suggestion for an addition or something. Then you could have until next Wednesday.
All right, so I was going to say, because I'm out tomorrow, so if I send it to her Friday and have it till a response from her by like Wednesday at noon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You'd
perfect.
be good?
Yep, that works
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
All right, that's good.
I do have 2 questions for you guys, though. Let me just find my sheet. So I did not include a race and ethnicity question as a demographic question. According to census data, Abington is very much predominantly white. Now, normally in a community that's more diverse, I would ask the question to ensure that we hear from people of other races and ethnicities. But the strategy for promotion would then be implementable. Like, for example, in Brockton, there are community organizations centered around like the Cape Verdean community, for example. So there's an easy way to then try and direct promotion efforts to other groups.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case in Abington. I don't really want to ask the question if we don't think we're going to then be able to use it to adjust our promotion strategy, because it's kind of irrelevant really at that point.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I agree.
We're not going to really know a lot about that until we do the MVP 2.0 thing.
Okay.
Because they're going to reach into the community and pull in as much diversity as possible.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
when does that process finish, Liz? Is it next year,
Yeah,
next June, or?
Next June.
Oh, perfect.
So
So
next
anything
June.
that's done under MVP, we can wrap into this as well.
Right. So, well, the whole thing doesn't finish, but that piece about coming up with the project. So the second part of that would just be the project part.
Yeah.
The committee be implementing the project, but the first part is getting the committee together and picking a project.
Gotcha. Cool. The other, actually, two other questions for you guys. So, Liz, you originally sent me some suggestions for survey questions that I
Yeah.
think you said came from the committee.
It did. Mhm.
Okay, cool. So there are two. So I incorporated most of them into the survey that you guys saw from me, but there are two that I didn't. And I wanted to ask you to kind of clarify those for me.
Mhm.
So the first one was, if Abington had a town forest, do you think you would use it? If so, how would you access it? And then if not, why not? Explain to me what the kind of thinking is around that question. Are you guys thinking about implementing a town forest?
So, yeah, I'll hit this. So, part of the idea of doing the OSRP and being able to get grant money would be to potentially create a town forest because we don't currently have one. But only if it's in the interest of the people in the town and the community. If they don't want one, you know, obviously we want that funding to go towards other things. So we wanted to try to get a gauge of, and putting that in people's minds, because most people that live here, I don't even know if they know that we don't have a town forest. So the idea was just somehow capture some feedback on whether a town forest is something that people would like to see in the town, and we could use funds to you know, build one out, or is it not worth it? Nobody knows that we don't have one now, so it really isn't going to make a difference going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Liz, you might have more background on this, so jump in. So, town forests were a popular thing back in like the 50s and 60s and kind of a little bit into the 70s. Nowadays, it's really rare to see communities pursue town forests as like a formal designation because it doesn't really give you anything extra. So, if you have land in mind and it's conservation land, then it's already protected. Um, Town forest doesn't give you any additional access to grants or any advantage in any existing grant programs. But what a town forest does require is a management strategy. I think it's a 5-year plan. So actually, it costs communities generally more money to maintain town forests than any other kind of conservation plan because they have to have these management plans in place. Is that how you understand it, Liz?
Yep. Yeah, and we actually do have a chunk of forest land that we bought, God, probably 15 or 20 years ago. It's the Carista property. Have you guys seen that? So that is, we actually bought it with Farm Bureau money because we didn't have the money at the time, and then the town paid back the loan. And that is behind Sorrells.
Oh.
Yep.
I didn't know anything
And
about
is
So-
that under the direction of the Conservation Commission? So protected conservation land?
I am not sure about that. I actually don't think that happened, which is a simple enough thing to do. We own it. We can put it in protection,
Yeah.
put it in conservation land. That's an easy fix.
What's the name of it?
It's the Carista property, Carista.
So my recommendation would be that when we get to writing the plan, I think we should certainly explore town forest ideas more. But I'm feeling like in a survey, particularly because people don't know what town forest means, that it's like an actual official thing. I'm not sure it's added value right now to ask it. But we can certainly include it if you guys feel strongly about it.
Maybe we don't have to word it as town forest, but I was just showing Roberta one of the pieces of land that we had originally looked at in the idea of creating a town forest is this area called Diane Circle. I mean, we could pivot and call it Diane Circle Conservation Area so that we're not having to do the 5-year plan and all the maintenance, and it's really more. There's already, you know, walking paths in there established.
And I think that that's already in conservation protection. I think we did that at the last town meeting.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did all that.
I think the only thing we would really want to do, and I know this is kind of going off on a tangent, Joanne, sorry.
No, please do. It helps me understand the background.
Yeah. I think what we would be looking to do, first we'd have to find out from the neighborhood if we could call it a conservation area, put a sign up, because we would have to have parking, right? We'd have to
Yeah.
have some parking spots.
You'd have to create a small parking area so people could use it. That's
Right.
sort of the intent with this over here.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, one of the neighbors asked if we could create a small parking area near the trail so people could park
Yeah.
and walk down and down and down and then
Yes.
walk back, right? So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so I guess that would be a separate survey. That would be something completely different, and it would be neighborhood specific, and we can talk about that in the future on how to go down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least here you got the paid pass or walking.
Yeah.
around,
And we'll be doing some public workshops as well as part of the OSORP process. So we could even, thinking a little bit ahead, but if you guys have specific parcels in mind, either for purchase or that you already own that aren't conservation land, but you're interested maybe in making them conservation land, or that are already conservation land, but need improvements either to access or facilities or invasive species management or whatever. I mean, those are things that we can certainly explore in the public workshops. We could have boards around. People can give their ideas and opinions for like those parcels in particular. So that really lends itself well to that kind of participation methodology.
Okay.
Throw
So
down the walking trail that goes through Rockland and Hanover.
The rail trail.
The rail trail, there's a lot of parking on Birch Street. I think it's Birch Street. Maybe we could look at, I'm not sure we could create a parking area there, but maybe over at Griffin's on the other side of Griffin's, and people could walk up and hook into it off of Charles Street.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I think there's plenty of parking there right now.
Yeah, and the problem is in the winter, right? You can't park on the side of the road, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Do they walk? Do they use it in the winter?
Get to the real.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right at Griffin Park, they have that.
You
parking lot,
can,
it's
but then
always
there's-
closed.
Right. Is it always closed?
There's a
Oh,
there's
that's
a metal
crazy.
there's a metal
Yeah.
Gate up.
gate there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably because the wayward children maybe park there at night, I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe,
That's
yeah.
usually why we block
They
things
do.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Not
right.
the wayward children,
Probably
just the
true.
children. Or maybe the adults who want to get away from the children. I don't know.
Okay, Joanne, I think to your point, I think we can hold off on implementing that question into the survey. Yeah. That's good to know. So thank you for sharing that information.
Okay. And then there was another question in there. Do you vote to support parcels being put into conservation did you vote to support parcels being put into conservation at the special town meeting held on 9/27/22? If so, why? If not, why? I'm wondering what the thinking is behind that question.
It was really just to see how many people that are answering this survey are in support of conservation and open space.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to go in. I guess it doesn't have to go in because we only had. I mean, that's going to limit. Not everybody. I mean, there was only.
You could
1,000
just
people
say,
there.
do you support putting
Land into conservation.
land into conservation
Well, she has
status?
a couple. I think there's some questions.
But I think
in
you
there,
have some in
yeah,
there, right?
that cover off on it. So
Yeah. So question 3 asks about how important you think it is to good quality of life to have open space. And then we've got also question 11, which kind of goes into detail about creating more open space in our community. So do you think those kind of sufficiently cover the intent of what was kind of on your original survey suggestions?
I think that's fine.
Okay. Okay, cool. And actually, sorry, I have 2 more questions. So the first one, I just wanted to have you guys all look at question 5. I don't know if you have the survey in front of you. You do. Okay, great. So question 5 lists the open spaces in your community. These are kind of what I pulled as the biggies out of your previous open space plan and kind of just some Google research and what I know about Abington. I'd like to make sure that you guys are happy with this list. So if there are other open spaces or even playgrounds or other recreational areas that folks talk a lot about, visit a lot, that you're thinking about doing work on, etc., we can add and or take away from this. But this is basically the opportunity to ask about satisfaction with specific places in town.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't see anything that stood out to me that was missing.
What about the Plymouth Street field? I know it's a ball field. Or
Yeah.
the Washington Street.
What about those little fields,
And
off
Green
of
Street?
And the one,
That actually is a playground.
it's a playground.
Yeah, the playground at Center School's just destroyed, so that's not really a playground anymore, but they do have that baseball field that they don't really use anymore as a baseball field.
Okay.
But that's an open space. It gets wet and mosquito-y, that's why they don't
it
use it.
does.
Yeah, I mean, my challenge is not growing up in this town. I'm not familiar with all the.
That's all right though,
open
because
space.
you can bring up the stuff that we are blind to now, right?
Right.
Right?
yeah.
I don't see Honor Park anymore. I played there as a kid, and I don't see it anymore. Green Street Playground, you should probably add. That's the other side of town.
Yeah, a lot of.
Green Street Playground?
Yeah,
Where is that?
that is actually if you go
Is
down
that near Lobster Trap?
Constitution,
Um,
Green Street, Constitution to Green Street. It's on Green Street,
I don't know.
way up
if you had
by you hit High Street.
say you have coming back from Brockton.
Yeah.
Before Walmart, that intersection. You
Oh,
take
yeah.
a right. That's Green Street.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's
Okay,
up
it
there
goes up,
on the
yeah.
left.
Yeah, it goes
Okay,
up
yeah, I
there.
would not have known about that.
Yeah.
What's the playground that's over by, on the way to the Lobster Trap on the right-hand side? The old Lobster Trap.
Oh, that's on Chestnut Street. That's Laidler Field.
Laidler, that's what that
Yeah.
is. Okay. So that's on there. What was the other ones you were talking about? With the...
The other two are ball fields on Plymouth Street and Green Street. It's strictly used for baseball. The Plymouth Street field legitimately now has a dugout. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
There's
batting
not.
cage. And,
Yeah, it's not going to
and
be.
just a parking lot. And...
Yeah, it's not going to be able to be used for anything else. You couldn't install playground equipment there.
Yeah, I would leave that one off then.
Okay.
But if the other one that you were talking about is the ball field that's not being used,
Right.
then I would probably put that on there because we could do something with that land.
Right.
All right. And what was that one? Was that at Center?
That's Washington Street. So right across from 7-Eleven, next to the donut, not the donut, the dental office. You can't even see it from the street
Oh
anymore.
yeah.
Oh,
my
yeah.
kids
Right?
played
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
yeah.
down and back there.
It's a nice
And then if you
field.
walk there and you walk
Oh.
up, you can walk up to the center school.
Yes.
Oh,
So the plan
okay.
was if we reuse the center school for housing, we're going to cut that off and keep it and put a trail around or have the developer put a trail in
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would we call that Center School
It was,
Park?
I thought it was Murphy Field, but I don't want to say that. I would call it the Washington Street Field.
Okay. So maybe
Yeah.
Joanne, we can add Washington Street.
So we'll put Washington Street Field, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Plymouth Street Ball Field.
I wouldn't have Plymouth
You can
Street.
take that out.
Yeah.
Take that one out.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing
just
we can do to
baseball.
it. Yeah.
Okay. And then what about Green Street Playground?
Green Street Playground, yep.
That
Add
one.
that.
Okay. So just those two.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Super. I'll add those in.
Thank you.
Great. And then the list that's in there, I think I referred to everything correctly too. I know that people sometimes call Griffin Dairy a farm versus a park or a park versus a farm. I think there's some confusion there. So
Depends on when you moved into town.
Yeah.
Depends on whether you saw the cows there and got your milk from there.
It's kind of both. I mean, there's people that still grow there, so
Yep.
it is
Little
still
farm.
a mini little farm, but it's also a park with walkways. So
yeah,
Nice.
it's a cool space. So,
Yeah.
okay. So the wording on the ones that are there is fine for you guys.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Cool. All right. That's all I've got. Anything else?
Nothing on my end. You good, Roberta?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Nothing.
you're good, Liz.
I'm good. I'll get back to you with Park and Rec comments if I get any
That sounds good.
by Wednesday.
Super.
afternoon.
And I'll, in the meantime, send you the link and the QR code and stuff, Liz, with
Okay.
some examples of flyers for your comms person.
Fabulous.
Awesome.
Fabulous.
No, I think we're good for now. Oh, actually, you know what? Question. We're planning our next meeting for Wednesday, November 1st. It's not confirmed yet, but should we check in with you at that point to see what the response has been so far? Okay.
I think that's an excellent idea. Yeah. Why don't I'll put it in my calendar and I'll join you guys to let you know what the response is like. And then maybe if you can allocate a little bit of time to kind of brainstorm and discuss and review like how it's been pushed out into the community to that date, then, Liz can kind of follow up with other stuff if need be.
All right.
All right, so Liz, I'm just gonna put on our agenda that we'll review with Joanne their survey response so far, and then I'll have you just chime in on how we've marketed it.
Yep.
If that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Liz to advise.
All right, so I'm gonna start on the 14th at town meeting and hand out the flyers. We're gonna start maybe the Friday before that with the social media blitz with Sam. And then probably the following week, I'll hit the senior center with ballot boxes and I'll print hard copies of this. Can you guys think of anywhere else you want it to go? I'm going to give it to the library and give it to the senior center in hard copy. Can you think of any place else that it should go? I know mostly everybody is.
This might be too technologically challenged. Is it possible to put like a sign up at some of the parks with a QR code to take the survey, since you'll get people who are using the parks there?
What do you think that would cost to do a sign with the QR code?
So, I mean, you could do it depending on like if there's a board or like a post or something. It could be. Do you guys have a laminating machine, Liz? You could easily just print a flyer, laminate it, and tape it to like.
Right. So yes, we can do that.
Okay. I think then you're reaching
That'd be great.
people who might be most interested.
Would
in
be
this.
at the park.
Yeah, right.
So,
And I would say we probably only need to put it up at like Island Grove, maybe like 2 or 3 key places. Island
Where they're playing
I would
soccer
say
right
Arnold
now.
Park.
The little
Yeah.
kids.
Because there's people down there all the time.
Where's that?
Arnold Park,
Arnold Park, and then maybe
the place I don't see anymore.
Griffiths, Derry?
Griffins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Griffins,
that's, I
sorry.
think that should
And
maybe the rail
Ames
trail.
Knoll.
Oh yeah, Ames Knoll.
Is Ames Knoll going to attract too many? You only want Abington residents, right?
Well, that's
Would
one
that
of the
attract
questions.
too many?
So they'll put in there if they don't live in Abington.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Because that happened with that survey we did on the center school. I had a lot of people who responded who didn't live here. I'm like, so what do you care?
I know, right? Yeah, right.
But yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah, that's right. It's factored into the question. So.
right,
Okay.
yeah. All right, so those and so on. Oh, my brain's not working because of stupid town meeting. So 10:14 town meeting.
So, Liz, you'll be needing this in a paper copy, right, as well, for distribution. Okay.
Yep. I mean, we're pretty close. It's just really some formatting stuff to get it to a less dense version, paper-wise, right? And I'll print on both sides, so
Yeah, exactly.
I won't kill too many trees.
No, it's always good to have a paper option if you can.
Yep. I'm telling you, the senior center
Yeah,
was crazy busy, and because I enter them
yeah.
manually into the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
survey, and they
Actually,
were crazy.
one spot we might want to print out the QR code would be either the dog park or the pickleball courts,
I'll put one of those down there.
because the pickleball court seems to be getting a lot of usage, and I'm hearing people want more pickleball courts.
It's never enough in any community right
No.
now.
Right now,
The
right
problem,
now.
The problem
until-
with ours right now is it's restricted to 65 or 55 and over, whatever the age is.
Right.
Which they
I was gonna say
Say a
I
word.
can't use it
didn't
because
say a
I'm
word.
40,
Right?
but my dad and his wife are playing aplenty.
Right.
Yeah, they're loving it. Okay, Joanne, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your help. We'll let you get
Very well.
off the phone.
All right, thanks, Joanne. Did you get all the green community stuff today?
Say that again?
Did you get all that green community stuff today?
I haven't read any of my emails.
Okay,
today, Liz.
you don't need to read any of them.
But I will.
I just sent back, you don't need to, I just sent back all the signed contracts.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thanks, Joanne.
Bye.
All right. You
All
kids
right,
have a
Liz,
good night.
You are good. Thank you.
All right.
All right, you guys. I guess the rest of it we're gonna push off since Aaron's not here.
Easy peasy.
I know, right?
Thank you, my friend.
So we'll have future discussion. In the future, we'll vote for the committee positions.
How are you?
We'll have future discussion on trail maps, photography club, so on and so forth. And then we'll select future meeting dates. So as of right now, we'll plan on 11/1, Wednesday 11/1 at 5:30. I'll send the email with the agenda, and hopefully we can do it in here. And we'll have Joanne again on Zoom and Liz in person. Anybody want to move to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Fantastic. We are adjourned. Thanks, AppCam.
Thank you.